You just love it. Right, I'm going to share my screen. View slideshow from start. Right, can you all see?
Yeah.
So, welcome to the Motherhood Challenges in 12 months. So, the April challenge is, drum roll, documentary.
Oh.
So, basically, you can all do this. So, I wanted to kind of ease up a little bit and give you just something that you've all done, but to kind of hone back to your documentary photography. So Sally Mann is a photographer, massive kind of controversial photographer. So this is her child who's, as you can see, has wet the bed. For me, I love her work. Lots of people don't, for controversial reasons. They think it's too, I guess, intimate, that she shouldn't be sharing images like this. For me, it's really raw, real. For me, that's what documentary is about. Then we've got Martin Parr. Don't know if anyone's heard of him on here. Those of you who've been on the documentary workshop will have. So he photographs Britain. And for me, this is a classic photo of his. Lots of kind of irony. He's very quirky the way he photographs, but none of it is set up. He walks the street. He hangs out in festivals and fetes and all kind of things, and just tries to document the life. He's very famous for like 80s. I think this was probably shot in the 80s. You might have seen them. They were like Butlins, like really wide Butlins photographs of like all that colour from the 80s and stuff, and like fake beaches. It's kind of like got a kitsch style to it, very, very colourful. I'm a massive fan, but it's, as I say, it's not to everyone's taste. And then Alan Laboyle, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. He's French documentary photographer. He's got loads of books out, and he lives on this massive kind of, it's not a farm, it's like this big kind of country estate with his family. They all homeschool and they have chickens and, just live that idyllic life. And he basically photographs his family. I went on a workshop of his and he's incredible. He was the one who kind of really showed me not to overlap. Although I don't know if that's another child down there actually, but he tries his hardest not to overlap subjects. So within one frame, they've all got their own space. They can be close together, but not overlapping. So he has, books and books and books, all like if you Google him kind of thing, all just for inspiration. It's all documentary based on his home life, which is full of activity, as you can imagine. They're quite feral and homeschooled children, so there's a lot going on. And then we have Natalie Baker's photography. So is Natalie here or not?
No, not tonight.
I don't know if you know Natalie. She's a great photographer. So Natalie came on the documentary workshop and we were talking about things to document. We kind of definitely looked at documentary without people. And this was, part of her every day at the moment. She's got young children and the tea. And I absolutely love this photograph. So we're looking at documenting things that are just there in your house, your everyday. There's another great photographer called Emily Ritchie Manders.
Look at the ironing pile.
Yeah. So documentary photography. So these next few images that I'm showing you are from the students who came on the documentary workshop. Documentary being not just people and things, but also things that tell a story. I mean, ultimately, that's documentary photography, whatever tells a story. And I can imagine a lot of you instantly having, very clearly what the story that's going on here, even though there's nobody in it. There could be somebody in it as well. That could also work. But ultimately, what we're looking for is story. Another great, Louise, well done. I love this photograph. So Louise is, I am going to name it, queen of composition. And for me, this is packed with story. You know, if she didn't have a school uniform on, it would be something different as well. But, you know, already you know what time of day it is. It's either just before school or just after. I'm assuming it's just after. She's laying on the couch. Again, just the washing in the background really adds to the story. You kind of have this real emotional connection to this photograph, and you get what's going on. Composition wise, you know, colours are just working fantastically. The muted washing in the background, you know, it kind of doesn't stand out, yet her bright red uniform really does stand out. So in many ways, you know, this works. Again, with documentary photography, you know, you can't always guarantee you're going to have muted colours in the background and a bright red foreground. That's kind of the challenge with documentary. You do shoot a lot, and you kind of pick from the best type of thing. But composition is number one when you're working with documentary as well. Sophie, love this portrait. And in fact, Sophie didn't even put this in because she didn't think it was, well, I'm not sure quite what it was, but I can't remember now, but you weren't, this wasn't one of your options initially. For me, I love this. Again, it's full of story. You've got characters, the framing, the composition. You get a feeling of the house that they live in. It feels very arty, feels a bit, you know, bohemian. And, you know, the two siblings or cousins, or, you know, you don't exactly know their relationship, but they are very close and they're definitely having a laugh. But yeah, what we did on the documentary workshop was we found kind of compositions that we liked, and then kind of also waited for people to kind of go into it, these compositions. That was kind of a technique that we worked towards, and I think especially in this way it worked really well. So there's another one of Sophie's, which I've totally fallen in love with. Sophie, do you actually mind just saying a little? I was going to say, but while you're here, do you mind just telling everyone what this photo is about?
Well, it's funny because the owner of it's here now.
Oh, really?
The owner of the bed. You don't know your bed's on the documentary course.
Oh my God.
So
for me, Sophie took this and I fell absolutely in love, didn't I? Straight away. And still now, it's one of my favourite photos. So yeah, share the story.
So this is my son's room, and I took a photo of it on the day that we did the documentary workshop. Philippa just said, turn around and photograph the room you're in. And I happened to do all my freelance work from my son's bedroom because he's at uni. And that's the state he left the bed in when he went off to uni. And so for me, it's a metaphor of motherhood, because it's messy, it's neglected, it's abandoned, and it was really quite sad. But also there are things like the teddies in the left-hand side as you're looking at it. There are things that sort of represent his childhood, which he's left behind, as he should do, and he's moved on. And as a mother, I feel a bit left behind sometimes because you miss your children as they get bigger and grow up. So it's a story about that. But anyhow, it's back now, just for a while.
Oh, so every time I hear it, I literally want to cry.
So yeah, it was very bittersweet. It's a bittersweet picture for me. I'm happy. You are always happy that your children fly the nest and they grow wings to fly away, because it means you've done a good job. But it's sad for you as a parent. So that's what that photograph was about for me.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I love it. And I mean, when I first saw it, I loved it. You know, when you see a photograph, you already bring your own questions or your own thoughts or your own feelings to it. And then when Sophie shared that story on top, it just, for me, you know, it just an excellent photo, and an excellent documentary photograph of, you know, that room and of that moment and your emotions. So yeah. Okay, Creeper. Is Creeper here tonight? No. So
no.
On the documentary workshop, everyone went off and kind of documented things that was going on with them, and she did this amazing series of her journey to work, and you know, and she took us into a lab and she photographed lots of different things in the lab. And it was a great series. Even without seeing the series, this photo on its own, I feel like is such a strong image. Again, you know me, I bang on about composition. It just makes it, the composition is so perfect. I think she's shooting through the glass, she said, and that's why she's got this kind of like reflection on the right, which again, I just think adds to it. Especially, I don't think this is a COVID lab or anything, but especially, like, we're, in the COVID days that we're at, it's just, I'm really interested. I want to know more. Creeper does photograph in black and white. She's definitely got that style, and I really tried to get her in colour at one point, and she definitely resisted, and so she should have, because she's really developed this style that's definitely hers. And this is one of her documentary photos, which I think is fantastic. Carrie Williams, is Carrie here?
Yep.
Yay! So this image, I think, is very, very tricky. It's a documentation of this time. Most of us have seen this, been feeding this, seen it somewhere else, especially of this time. So for me, this is such a strong image. The story is there. So we all recognize this story, whether either from our own family or from our friend's family or someone on the telly's family. So it doesn't matter how connected we are to it or not, we get this story. Before COVID, this might have been a slightly different relationship that you have with this photo. Because of COVID, we can all relate to this. And I don't think shooting two people on Zoom is, I feel like it's the hardest thing to photograph and make it interesting. But however reason, Carrie has made this such an interesting, pleasing image. Again, composition just works really well. The simplicity as well, everything's like black and white. You've got a bit of colour in there. It does look like a still from a film, I will say. It almost looks slightly stylish in a home kind of way. I don't know, it just works so well. It's really pleasing on the eye. All the shapes in it work. Even the T-shirts, like one's wearing black and one's wearing white. Black beds, the white chairs, the black screens, the way she's framed, she's got this bit on the left. It kind of matches the bit on the right. I don't know, it just works. It's such a pleasing, strong image, and a great, I would say, documentary photography of this time. So well done, Carrie. Victoria, I don't know is Victoria here tonight?
Yep, she is.
She is, hey.
Busy with a teething baby, but she's here.
There we are. So Victoria, again, she came on the documentary workshop, and I just wanted to share all the images from the people who came on the workshop, just because, I don't know, we all, by the end of it, we were all boom, boom, bam, it was so inspired. Victoria came to the workshop saying that she had never documented her house because it was in a building site. And then after the workshop, she was showing us stuff. Me and Emily were like, we want a bathroom like that. And oh my God, it was so amazing to have a little insight into her world. So again, this is something most of us have got somewhere. I'm not saying there's great windows or anything, but, we've all got this story at our fingertips. What makes this such a great shot is the composition. We're peeking through. She's showing us something, and because she's got the door there, it feels like we've had a peek into her house and her daughter, yet we weren't meant to be there, kind of thing. And I think documentary is really good like that. If it can show us something which we wouldn't normally see, a bit like Creepers. Like, I've never been into a science lab before, so for me, I'm fascinated by that. This, because you've got the door handle, it looks like it's literally just opened. We're having a little peek into Victoria's world, where we wouldn't have if it wasn't for her taking this photograph. I've got one more of Victoria's as well. Sorry about the quality. This was oh no, it wasn't taken from. So this photograph, I think, was developed after the workshop. And for me, this is documentary down to a T. And Victoria, I messaged you on Instagram about it. I absolutely have fallen in love. This is the state of Victoria's house right now. Something she was very ashamed of sharing. She would never have shown. And then when we were on the workshop, kind of forced her to show us her mess. And you know, after a few weeks, she developed this, and it's just amazing. That is Victoria in the photograph as well, so I'm very pleased about that. She's captured a family portrait in a documentary style. I think it's incredible. There's story there, you know, the baby on the hip, the children just, no one's looking at the camera. I think the baby's trying to look at the camera perhaps. The mess, the composition, the wide shot, it's just packed. I absolutely love it. For me, this is a moment in time and what I would call a classic documentary photograph. So yeah, like, well done you. That's like really, really good. Anyway, this wasn't meant to be a well done or not well done. This was meant to be inspiring you guys to see what you can do yourself with documentary photography. So I think that was it actually. So these are your inspirations. I'll just give you another quick flick through. There we go. Right. So that's it. So we'll have a chat afterwards. I'll just give you some reminders. So the April challenge is documentary photography. Do look for strong composition. You know, documentary photography, we are looking for story or waiting for story. As I said, sometimes, like on the documentary workshop, I made the girls find a great composition and then waited for something to happen. You know, that could have taken days, you know, having the camera on the shelf next to you or whatever, you know. There were lots and lots of different. Oh, Tanya, by the way, is Tanya here? Because I'm really sorry I haven't got all your images, so I couldn't share.
She's not here tonight.
Okay, so sorry about that. Strong composition, like you are all at the level now. Sorry, not all. Sorry, we've got newbies here tonight. But composition is going to make or break your documentary photograph, because you need the story, but the composition will enhance or do the opposite. So I really want you to really focus on composition with these photos. And story is important, really important. That's kind of what documentary is about. So you're telling the rest of us something. It doesn't have to be massively, you know, a big story. It can be something small, like when we saw the first shots of just 2 empty teacups and a bottle. Already that's full of story. It was, you know, you can see it's mum and dad and a baby. Do you know what I mean? You can feel the life that's going back. Oh, sorry, Emily's telling me to bring up my face. Sorry. Right, just screen grab this if you want, guys. Deadline is Friday the 30th of April. Share all your wonderful ideas in documentary, the challenge, chat and discussions, the same formula as we've always done, and then upload your final image into the documentary April challenge post. All of you have been doing amazing at tagging us. We really, really appreciate it, because that's how it's kind of all about word of mouth, and that's how we're getting more people to join us. So it's hashtag the Motherhood Workshops with an S, and always tag the Motherhood Workshops, so just so we can see each other's work. Right, I will come back. Hi. God, I look a mess. Sorry about that. So sorry, yeah, I'll just go on about that documentary bit. So story has to be there. You know, we don't want cute pictures. We're not looking for portraiture. Don't get confused, because I know, Sophie, you got confused when I was like, don't want portraiture. People is great. I don't want people looking at the camera. That's when I think it looks more portraiture. What's interesting with documentary is that you are going to take me somewhere that they're not, like, whatever the scene isn't aware that I'm there. So I'm like going to be, peeping Tom is such the wrong word, a fly on the wall, we're going to call it, a fly on the wall. You're going to show me something as if I'm a fly on the wall in your home, in the park, the school run. It doesn't matter where it is. Some of you don't have children. You know, Creeper did one where it was going to work, which was so inspiring for us. So, you know, the world's your oyster. A lot of you, apart from Katie who hasn't, everyone who's come on the workshop, we all started, that's what we started with, was documentary. So I'm kind of, what I wanted you to do is take you back to that and really explore with documentary. And also I was so inspired after the documentary workshop of everyone's work that I just thought, actually, I really wanted to share that and kind of use that. So those of you that have been on the documentary workshop, don't think you've got it easy either, okay? Because, do you know what I mean, you are going to have to work hard. You know that already. You've got a bit of a head start. But in terms of documentary photography, can be pot luck as well, as we all know. You look in the news and it's like that person that captured that shot was at the right place at the right time. So that's this month's challenge. I hope that feels a sense of release and you're not all freaking out about self-portrait or anything like that. Any questions that you'd like to share?
Any quick tips for those of us that didn't go to the documentary workshop?
Is that Bella?
Yeah.
What do you mean quick tips? I've just done a half-hour show. Like,
yeah.
What do you want?
True. That's true. Okay. So would black and white, for instance, be not necessarily? In my head, documentary photography tends to be black and white and really iconic photos, probably because. Yeah,
no, it's a really good question. Really good question. No, I feel like so I think most of the slides I showed you were color actually. So I think in the 30s and 40s it was all like black and white, especially like when you're thinking of street photography, which is all documentary and stuff. But no, like if you have a look at especially some of the artists that I showed. Martin Parr is full of colour. It's absolutely full of colour. So that really is a personal style, and I would suggest at the beginning, go out and play, and then play in the edit. Play with both, because sometimes the reason. So I don't use black and white much, and me and Creeper do kind of clash on our kind of views on this, which I think it's all up for discussion. But for me, if I use black and white, it is for a reason. And black and white can be very useful because it's simple. There's only two, colour's messy. There's lots of distraction. Whereas black and white can help the viewer focus on one thing. So for me now, like my awful lighting, in black and white, my face would be very white and this would be grey. So it would really help you as the viewer to just focus on my face and not this noise behind me. So it can be used to emphasise things. And until you get in the edit, I think just play a little bit with that.
Okay.
In terms of you're becoming a queen of composition, Belen. Like, I love your composition. So, that for me, composition can make or break a documentary photograph. So in terms of composition, say if you've got a busy photograph, sometimes it's nice to kind of, in Carrie's photograph of the two boys so the fact that she was kind of it was what am I trying to say? It was framed by things either side of the frame. And also Victoria's, when it was framed by the door, it almost, as the viewer, I was like looking in. So it gave me that kind of, it's not Peep and Tom, but that kind of
I know what you mean.
Yeah, which for a documentary, I want to feel like you've taken me somewhere, and those kind of like maybe little tips and tricks kind of can help. But I don't want you to feel like that's the only way, 'cause it's not at all. There's lots of different things. Documentary can include people, cannot include people, can include movement, can be still.
One general question, sorry Philippa, because
no, this is good. It's good for everyone.
I'm already thinking it'd be easier with my family, but I would love to be able to take photos of people outside, and I always feel a bit too embarrassed, and I'm intruding, and I just don't know what's right and what's wrong in terms of taking photos of people in the street. How do you handle that?
Well, we actually did a workshop when we met in People, and it was a surprise. It was a surprise workshop. I didn't tell you what it was going to be. It was called "Get Out Your Comfort Zone," wasn't it?
And it was truly out of the comfort zone.
So, Tracy, you came, didn't you? Yeah. Sophie, were you there? Oh, right, you weren't. Yeah. So it was a couple of years ago now. So all it was called was, I'm running a workshop. It's going, "Get Out Your Comfort Zone." And I love you all because you did turn up and you were like, "Okay, we're ready." okay, we're going to go out and do street photography. And they were like, oh, no. And it was, we all went out of and me as well, you know, like every time it's like pep talk yourself. So if you're doing street photography, so we went and we warmed up. So we were just like doing things from afar, just practicing and playing. In terms of morally what's correct or not, someone will tell you if they don't want to be photographed. I don't ask, because if I ask them, it turns into a portrait rather than, you know, a story that they're not seeing. So we literally just walked the street. We looked at composition, we were looking at story, we were looking at framing and movement. And we just played in the street. And I mean, I don't know about you girls, but at the beginning you're like really standoffish and nervous, and then by the end you're like following people right behind them. You're just getting into it. And we just went up to Headington. Sorry, Belen lives around the corner from me. On a Saturday or Sunday, the market was there, and we just went and photographed people. And quite often people don't notice. People are busy. Do you know what I mean? But like people are just doing their thing. I can't remember who I was with now, but I was shooting one guy in the market stall, and he was like, okay, that's enough now. You've just stood there doing that. And I was like, oh, who was I with? Was it not you, Tracy? No. I can't remember who it was. Someone was with me. And
it wasn't me, but I remember you saying.
Oh, was it you, Carrie?
Yeah.
And the Carrie was like, oh my God. And I was like, just keep doing it, Carrie. And she was just like hiding, going, no. And then we were looking in reflections, weren't we? I think, Emma, didn't you do one? Yeah, like in a shop window.
I was going to say, actually, guys, everyone that's here, and I will put a thing on the Facebook, but can you all send, you know, like we normally do, either on the email or in the Dropbox, all of your street photography photos, and I'll do a little compilation of them.
Oh, that's a nice.
It was really fun, and it's so different to anything else that we've done.
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be nice for people to see. So I will put a thing out on the group, but yeah, I think we should get all of that body of work together again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so yeah, I think, right, this is me, you know, I'm not a street photographer, but for me, I'd rather take the shot and apologize afterwards. Like, you know, if someone's really gonna be like kicking off, absolutely. But I don't know, you just say, sorry, I'm just, you know, I'm just doing some homework for a photography course that I'm on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just really dumb it down. Do you know what I mean? And most people are like fine with it. But do give yourself, like, there's a saying, I think 98% of street photography is rubbish, and that 1 or 2%. So it does take, I mean, you girls will remember, you shoot a lot because it takes a lot, because a lot of it's based on luck. You know, you're waiting for that person to pass, or then they're in the wrong color. And sometimes, do you know what I mean? Like, someone comes and they're like in a bright pink and it just works really well. Do you know what I mean? So it's pot luck, but my God, you need patience, and it's so rewarding, you know, when you get, you know, just one shot, it's very rewarding. So yeah, definitely give it a go. All that's documentary photography. Also just things like, in restaurants, in shops, you know, all that is documentary photography. Yeah. So I've kept this month like super loose to what you want to play with your documentary. It was more just to get, you know, everyone up to speed with playing with documentary again, because we've explored a lot with portraiture and, you know, like technical things, which has been fun. And I just wanted to kind of have a play with, just focusing on story, really. That's what documentary is, focusing on story. Any questions? Belen, I feel like there's another one in you.
No, I'm reining myself in.
Don't you dare rein yourself in. Not if you're walking the streets of Headington.
Oh, God. I did see you the other day, actually. I nearly took a photo of you.
You should have.
That would have freaked you out. Stalker.
Oh, you so should have. What was I doing?
Chatting with a neighbor, and I thought, that's a nice photo. But I didn't.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Anyone else? Katie, are you going to... You've got a brand new camera, haven't you?
Yes, I got it finally.
Good.
Finally made a decision.
Well done, you. Which one was it in the end?
I got the Canon M50, the mirrorless one.
Lovely.
Yeah,
that's very exciting.
I'm really enjoying it. It's really good.
So, are you shooting in manual yet, or is it all no idea?
No idea.
Fine. So for this, just totally don't worry about the settings, shoot it in automatic and just try and, I mean, you've had no training at all. So I say just play. There will be a group. So how it works, Emily sets up a group where we all just show each other's work.
I don't set up a group. I set up in the Facebook group. I just do a little chat thing, which is the general chat and discussion. And then there's a different post for the final submission. So it's not a separate group or anything. It's just
I make things up. But it's really lovely. Everyone puts things in there, and it's really nice. Like Lou, especially, she puts in lots. Which, by the way, Lou is lush. It's not, and it's just really nice. And she's like, "Oh my god, like which one?" Or these are my mistakes, or not even mistakes. Like this is my starting point. So it's really. Yes, it's just really friendly and welcoming. I think the challenge it's probably a challenge every month is we'll probably end up with, I'm hoping a nice kind of variety of documentary photographs, and the challenge will be which one to choose, because sadly you can only choose to submit one. Right, if there's no other questions, I'm probably let's love and leave. It's 9 o'clock. That was good. I'm only 5 minutes over.
I mean, amazing.
Up on the back.
Yes.
Really lovely to see you all, as always. I hope you're enjoying the rest of your Easter, and we'll see you in a month. I'll find someone to talk to and go through the documentary photos.
Perfect.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thank you, Philippa.
See you later.
Thanks, Philippa.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you all.